Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is Tuesday, September 24th. It is 6:21 p.m. on the East Coast. I am Alex Kazora, and with me, as usual, is my co-host, Steelers Depot. How are you doing, Steelers Depot?
Just excellent. How are you, my partner?
I'm doing good. You know, our Pittsburgh Steelers are coming off of a resounding victory to send them to 3-0 over the San Diego Chargers.
The first resounding victory in Steelers history.
It might as well be. You know, I've already seen... I have expressed this so many times over the years. As Steelers fans can be so much fun, but they can also be just unbelievable downers. And it's like, stop, relax, will you? All right, like... you can look at whatever and you say, oh, he only threw one passing touchdown. Oh, he only ran for one touchdown. He only had 5 yards. Listen, if you're going to tell me what you watched on Sunday did not just feel different, just from a swagger, from a cohesion, from an aura standpoint, to pull one from the Gen Zers, I don't know what to tell you, because that touchdown run from Justin Fields, I put it in the first play of the show. It said everything it needed to say. This team is just different now. It feels different. It looks better. I'm happy. Justin Fields is the man in Pittsburgh going forward. That is my opening statement.
I agree. And I mean, it's the team. It's the first time in a long while where I've seen a team and I'm like, oh, we actually like have contender potential here. You know, the last time that I had seen that was probably around the Mason and Duck year because of how elite our defense was at the very least. But past that, like, you know, the 11-0 run, yeah, but that was a little bit of smoke and mirrors and all that stuff. This is a defense that feels championship caliber so far. Yeah. Like, I expected them to do at least okay against Herbert. I didn't expect them to completely dominate.
Yeah. I mean, they're giving up, I think it's 8.6 points per game.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, you know, first week of the season, first 2 weeks, it's a mulligan, you know, it's hard to really know what to expect, you know, but I think in the case of the Steelers defense and the case of Deshaun Watson being absolutely fucking terrible, we're seeing things that are just, it's a large enough sample size now where you can call it. And I think it's very clear that the Steelers defense is there, like, barring injury. What do you want? You know, I mean, the secondary is held up. I think the number one thing we're seeing that you didn't see in the offseason accounting, I know we had hoped for it, but you didn't see it from a lot of people, is because you can't expect it, but Joey Porter Jr. has just been everything you could have hoped he would be 19 games into his career, whatever it is. He's spectacular. I mean, he's spectacular. He's already, to me, earned a second contract. No doubt about it. He's going to be here for 7-8 years. And that's that. Like, I mean, I have so much faith in him and I'm so impressed by him. And I think having a corner like that makes your defense just work so much better.
I agree. And I mean, it's also just the fact that, I mean, we knew that Peasy Jr. was at least going to come in there with the same attitude as his old man. So you figured that some of the talent would hopefully rub off on him as well. I kind of had the same attitude when we drafted him as I did when we drafted TJ. I was like, if he is 50% of JJ, this is a good draft pick. Right. You know, if Joey Porter Jr. is 50% of his old man, this is a good draft pick. And so far, I mean, well, for both of them, we've knocked those picks out of the park. But I mean, so far, Peasy has been a top corner in this league. People aren't ready for that conversation yet, but it's true. And so I love seeing that. I love seeing how vicious the damn pass rush is. My dude Keanu Benton has been looking great. I love seeing that. There's just not a whole lot of things to complain about. And I think that, like, speaking of myself personally, I feel like I've been castigated as almost the negative guy between us, and I'm just gonna enjoy what we're doing right now. We got Cordell Stewart 2.0, we got Steel Curtain 2.0, and we're gonna see how far this takes us. Could we collapse next week? Sure. Could we go on a playoff run? Sure. Like, I have no idea where this is going, and I'm just gonna enjoy it while it's here. I have the same attitude I did from the Mason and Duck year.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I think I have more positive feeling than that. I mean, that year to me was like, that was a thing where it was like, I'm just happy to be here, you know?
Yeah.
Like this year though, I'm feeling in a different way where I'm feeling like, wait a second, I think this might be more than happy to be here. I think this is, if the Justin Fields thing works out, and I'm not even saying like he becomes a starter for the next decade, but I'm saying, like, he stays healthy, he continues to throw the ball accurately, minimize mistakes. I'm saying even, like, has a year a la the modern version of a 2001 Cordell Stewart, where it's just efficient. You know, I'm talking 22 touchdown passes. I mean, how much did we say that last year? We were 6-3 with Kenny Pickett throwing five touchdowns, okay? Like, 5 touchdowns. And, you know, I think that, like, I think that we were saying sorry, I lost my train of thought, but we were saying that last year, that, like, if we just had a guy that would throw like 20, 25 touchdowns, something like that, you don't need a guy to throw 40 touchdowns anymore. Where would we have been? And that's all I'm looking for out of Justin Fields this year. I'm looking for him to be a guy to continue to move forward and progress in his career. And so far, through a preseason and 3 games, I gotta say I'm impressed, and I gotta say I'm rooting for the kid, man. I'm on his side.
I am too. And I mean, listen, I am totally okay with being wrong about my preseason prediction about Justin Fields. I am fine with that. As a matter of fact, I am ecstatic about the potential of being wrong about that. I think a lot of content creators, I mean, you've witnessed it too, where they just kind of stick to the gotcha and they wait for any little moment to be like, no, see, I was right. No, listen, if Justin Fields turns out to be the starter, that's great. He seems like a good kid. His teammates never talk shit about him in Chicago or anything. And I mean, on top of that, the guy just works his ass off and wants to do it. Now, I think that if anybody would have told you, that they guaranteed that Justin Fields is going to come in and play smart, measured, disciplined football, I think they would have been laughed out of the building, obviously. But I mean, I'll be damned after seeing that we couldn't fix Mitch Trubisky, right? But we seem to do pretty well with Justin Fields. For one, how bad is Mitch Trubisky? How bad does that
terrible.
make him?
Yeah, he's terrible. I have no question about him. Yeah, I know, it's terrible.
In Steelers history, give me one worse, and you can name Bubby, and I'd take Bubby over Mitch.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Real quick, do you have is there a gain knob on your mic? You sound like a little hot to me. I don't know if that's your input or not, but you're just popping a little on me. So
there we go. I just turned it down.
Yeah. Mitch is just terrible. I saw some Bills video because there's some content creator that chugs a Gatorade every day, and he wants Mitch Trubisky to do it. So he finally did it. He seems like a nice enough dude. I just never want to see him play quarterback for my team ever again.
He is one of those Jamarcus Russell. Jesus, well maybe, but no, he's one of those Jameis Winston types where you love to see him quarterback just as long as it's not your team.
Yeah, he doesn't strike fear in the hearts of defenses. And Buffalo would be so screwed if they needed him to play for any period of time. Could you imagine?
Be like, it's your turn, assholes. That's what you get for signing him.
Real quick, I mean, we'll obviously come back to the Steelers. And I do want to do that giveaway tonight. We have the couple gift cards I said I was going to give to the Patreons. So we have that to draw later on too. But just as it went through my brain, what do you think? What do you take away from last night's football? Because I think it was really interesting, one, to see the Bengals go to 0-3 and continue to just struggle mightily in September. Jaden Daniels, to me, looked incredible. I mean, I've been raving about him in the Discord server all day. You guys, patreon.com/5SMU, go join and you can hear me rattle about him. But I just thought he was spectacular last night. He responded every time they needed him to. And then the other thing is Trevor Lawrence low-key becoming kind of a bust?
It's tough.
He's certainly not a generational 1 overall type guy at this point.
No. Listen, generational guys are supposed to be able to lift your team up kind of regardless of circumstance. I mean, do you see some of the dog shit rosters they put around Andrew Luck that he got to 11-5 records with? Yeah. I mean, that was damn impressive, the kind of career he had, despite what Grigson gave him to work with, for instance. And man, so when it comes to the we were talking about the quarterback evaluation, right? We were talking about Jalen Daniels and Trevor Lawrence and all that. There's different ways that people are going to project them to the NFL. There's some people that focus pretty much exclusively on their football IQ. There's certain people that rave about physical traits. There's certain people and what I've come to find out is that there is absolutely no correlation. It all depends, man. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is physically one of the best throwers of the football probably ever in terms of what he can do, if that makes sense. At the same time, who is the most successful quarterback of all time? It's Tom Brady, and he's also probably one of the most untalented quarterbacks probably ever. And there's really no correlation between the two. Peyton Manning was not a physically talented player, and he's also amazing. Then you have guys like Brett Favre who just have golden arms, but other than that are just kind of normal dudes. There's really no way to determine. But when Trevor Lawrence came out, I was kind of curious why he got the generational label. I know he did super well in college, but I mean, there's plenty of other guys that have done super well in college and weren't labeled generational. So I never really understood what I understood why he was good. I didn't really understand why he was generational. As far as Jalen Daniels go, I'm not really sure. I'm interesting to see how that goes. I mean, we all know that Washington is a quarterback graveyard. So I mean, I don't like his chances, but I am rooting for him, especially for how physically talented the dude is.
Yeah, he looks like the version of Anthony Richardson that could actually throw the ball accurately. Yeah. I dropped a poll in the chat on the Trevor Lawrence thing. I'm curious to see what people say. Right now, it's like 67% yes on the Trevor Lawrence is a bust conversation. I think that what I've learned with the draft process, and part of the reason that I don't partake in it like some of the people do, is, and by the way, I'm not actually Alex Kozora. That was just a joke. I saw somebody in the chat. I don't know if you're just in on the joke too and got me, or if you think that, but it was just a joke.
I thought he was kidding, but you very well might be right.
I don't know. You never know. I just want to be clear. I don't want to get sued by Steelers Depot. Because they're gonna, I do not work for Steelers Depot. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's weird, man. It's weird to see. I think sometimes with the draft that people fall in love with the narrative of something. And I think with Trevor Lawrence, it was just like, you look at it and you see this like giant and you're like, okay, he can run. He can put the ball anywhere. He can do this. He can do that. And I agree with you that like, sometimes it's just like you look at it and it's like, for whatever reason, I'll go back to a tried and true one for me and you, but I remember Mason Rudolph in college at Oklahoma State. And I remember seeing him, just as a casual fan before I knew he was going to be a Steeler. And I was like, that guy can throw the football. Like that guy, and I always wondered why he just like wouldn't get drafted. And it's like, sometimes if you're in the Big 12, it's like, oh, well, you can't really play. But then sometimes if you're in the Big 12, you're Patrick fucking Mahomes and everybody's all over you. So I never understand, like sometimes it's a narrative. And I think with Trevor Lawrence, it was just this thing where people got captured in this like, oh, he's like handsome, he looks like Fabio. Like sometimes I think that just happens with athletes and you fall in love with the idea of somebody, or it's almost the opposite. I think with Kenny Pickett, it was a little bit of the opposite. Like I thought, even knowing how it worked out, I am still surprised that Kenny Pickett lasted until 20th in the draft, because I really thought somebody would fall in love with him. But what happened was evaluators they couldn't get over, ultimately, I think, the small hand thing. I think that scared a lot of people off. And I think it impacted the way a lot of people talked about him even when he was here. I mean, when he was a rookie, we were all watching him and it's like, oh, I think he's doing pretty good. He's, doing this, doing that. And there'd always be somebody that's like, he's got baby hands. He can't play in the NFL. And you're like, dude, like, let the guy try. Like, he deserved a shot to try. He wasn't a bad guy. Like, but I think I think it's a narrative. You fall in love with a narrative. And I think that makes everything in the draft process.
I mean, yeah, there's narratives and there's also physical talent. And I mean, like guys like Kenny aren't the most physically gifted, and I think that holds them back in a lot of ways, which is also kind of unfair because I mean, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, for as physically talented as these guys are, they haven't even made it to the Super Bowl, let alone won one. The physical talent is great, but there's also a number of other factors that come along with it, and it's like, for a while, I'm not saying necessarily nowadays, but for a while, Lamar Jackson couldn't really read an NFL defense, and that's what held him back. There are those things, and like that's something I think people aren't really looking at nowadays. When they look at, does he have a rocket arm? Can he run fast? Can he? And I am way more concerned about their football knowledge and things of that nature. That's something I noticed with Jalen Hurts actually coming out of college, is that I noticed that they were asking him about plays and he was just drawing them up and like reciting them and reciting the reads. And I was like, this is a dude that cares. This is not a Johnny Manziel or a Jamarcus Russell. This is a guy who's going to work his ass off. And I think that's another huge factor that sometimes people may. Was Zach Wilson ever going to bust his ass ever in his life? I doubt it.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a fair observation, especially with that position. And to go back to a guy that we were joking about earlier, but I mean, Deshaun Watson, I think, is clearly seemingly falling into that category now of somebody where you were like, okay, you're really physically talented. Now, what are you going to do on the other side of the game in terms of the mental aspect? And that's a guy who, I love ragging on him. Our social editor, Frayne, obviously loves ragging on him. Has some of the best 5-star content of all time. But what I hate, and I mean, I don't know this, but he's a guy that when I watch play football, I'm like, he just doesn't look even remotely interested in being really good at it. He just doesn't. Like, I just don't see a guy that's interested in trying for what he's getting paid. And it's a shame because I actually really liked Deshaun Watson, the football player, back when he was on the Texans. I thought he was a good player. I'm not rooting for him anymore. I'm just saying, like, I thought he was a really good player, and he just, he continues to just make the Browns look like absolute idiots.
Oh, and it's great. I'm a huge fan of him being on the Browns.
Yeah.
No, I really liked Deshaun Watson until I found out about the other stuff. But I mean, he was the one like spark in a long line of shit for Houston for a very, very long time. And then, thank God they got Stroud, because without Stroud, they had David Mills. And
Davis Mills.
Davis Mills. There it is. Yeah. I mean, just, they had no idea where they were going to go. And so luckily they stumbled into CJ Stroud because they were going to take Bryce Young, but they weren't able to get him. So that just shows you right there that it's just one giant crapshoot. Nobody really has any idea.
And what do you take out of that? Because this is a guy now too that, like, much like Kenny Pickett, this was a guy that you're saying, okay, well, I might not be getting an elite athlete or an elite physical thrower of the football, but I'm getting a guy that's a plug and play, ready-made starter mentally. And I think we saw that was clearly not the case with Pickett in year 2. I think he regressed. I don't know how much we want to put that on Canada, but I did go back and watch some old 5-star today from 22 and 23, and that guy regressed. I mean, he regressed last year. He wasn't great as a rookie, but just the way you see him carry himself, and it was night and day to me. And and I think Bryce Young's now clearly, I mean, you put in Andy Dalton, and it's like, because they don't have bad. You got Deontay Johnson. I mean, come on, you can't get completions to Deontay Johnson. I mean, say what you want about the guy, he's always open.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much the only thing he does well. But I mean, you think you would be able to get him? I think it was a total of like 43 yards up until last week.
Yeah.
So I mean, like with Dave Canales and whatnot, you've seen like what a quarterback guru he is with Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield. I think were the guys that he pretty much revitalized their careers. And I mean, then all of a sudden he goes to Bryce Young, and you're like, oh, number 1 overall pick, quarterback whisper. This is it. This is an Andrew Luck and Bruce Arians situation, maybe. I'm being hyperbolic here, but you get the point. And you just saw none of that. You just saw it all completely collapse and fall apart. And you see Bryce Young has nothing to offer, and I'm just baffled. Someone compared him to Jamarcus Russell, and then someone mentioned, well, Jamarcus Russell didn't even try. Bryce Young is trying his hardest, and I don't know which one is worse.
Yeah, that's rough. But I mean, I guess, yeah, I just want to say, take my friend, Black Rain's, advice and hop over to that Patreon for $4 a month. It's worth it. Or you could become a member here over on, YouTube. I don't know. There's some kind of membership thing here. You could do that if you want. You can donate $5 while we're chatting. You could donate $2 while we're chatting. Help out the gang. We do have that drawing we're going to do later on. But I did want to transfer that because you were talking about young quarterbacks. I want to transfer that back over because you mentioned somebody else in there, Geno Smith. And I'm just thinking, I've been ruminating a lot on this idea of like the revival quarterback and
the Rich Gannon.
Yeah, and I think there's something interesting happening maybe league-wide with this, because I think a guy that I think about, and people cringe when I say this, but I'm going to say it because the guy had like 2.5 really good years. Ryan Tannehill, and he did it with Art Smith. Tannehill, say what you want, man. Tannehill, for that stretch when he took over for Mariota that second half of that season, and then that next year, I don't remember if that was like 18, 19, or whatever it was. Don't be pedantic on me. I whatever it was, that stretch, he had a stretch where he threw like 35 touchdowns to 10 interceptions or something and won most of the games. He was really good. And Geno Smith has, is a plus starter for the Seahawks. Are we seeing that happen here in Pittsburgh with Justin Fields?
I think it's really possible. Ryan Tannehill, to his credit, I mean, I was a big Tannehill guy for a while. And I mean, Tannehill was a guy who, if I'm not mistaken, was the number one most efficient or the most accurate passer in the entire NFL. Throughout like the back half of the first season he started, and then this next season that he had, I mean, he was quite literally the most accurate passer in the league by and large. And I mean, that's pretty damn impressive. And it also shows you what a quarterback hell any team coached by Adam Gase is, because the second he got out of Gase's cold, dead clutches, he immediately just lit the league on fire in every efficiency metric.
Adam Gase made Le'Veon Bell look like he couldn't play football. Come on.
Yeah. Let's take Le'Veon Bell and just run halfback dives right up the gut every time.
Come on. You couldn't find one good year in those legs? Come on, you couldn't find one?
It's not like he completely fell off a cliff. I mean, well, hell, maybe he did. It seems like have we ever seen a player be gone for more than a year and come back and be elite? I think the closest thing is Michael Vick when he got out of jail, but that's like the closest thing you're going to get to. And I mean, that's really like a one of one, because I can't even think of another. And
well,
so,
unless you're talking about missing a year for injury. I mean, we've seen that tons of times.
Taking off, I would say.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because I can't think of too many examples of people who have done that.
Yeah,
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. By the way, I do have to say this is I'll never get the chance to say this because it's not topical, but like Le'Veon Bell refusing to play for the Steelers for like was it $90 million with like $32 million guaranteed, but open because of injuries, right? But then openly being willing to play basketball for free and risking injury that way just always made me laugh.
I think that what reported at the time was that they offered him 5 for $70, which I always thought was a reasonable deal. And yeah, I don't know. Le'Veon for me is going to be like sort of, it probably ended up being the right move for the Steelers. But that's a guy that I'm always going to feel like, man, like I've said it on the show 10 million times. I just thought he got bad advice from his agent. That's really what I think happened there. He got so involved in trying to make some sort of statement, and I think he derailed his entire career, honestly. But hey, he's out there doing content creator type stuff now. I want to get him on the show sometime. So shout out Le'Veon. Cool.
Talk to him for a bit. I mean, he was quite on a projection. That was something I was going to get to. Was that like he had a stretch where he was easily the best running back in the league. I don't even think it was close.
Yeah,
and just it'll always hurt my heart just a little bit that Ben Brown and Bell were somehow never able to win a Super Bowl,
or even get there.
Greatest receiver. No, we made it to 45, and we had Bell, Brown, and
no.
We didn't have. No, I'm sorry, we didn't have Bell. We had Brown.
Yeah, Brown. AB was there, but he wasn't fully formed. AB. I mean, that was his rookie year. Ryan Tannehill, by the way, 2020 threw 33 touchdowns to 7 picks. Yeah. Pretty good year.
I'm always interested in like the guys who super high touchdowns, super low picks, but without being like Aaron Rodgers, for instance, how he just always lit every efficiency metric on fire somehow. But then you look a little closer at some of those numbers, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Rodgers, like, he has very, very few 10 or 13 plus point comebacks. Like, literally, if he goes behind in a game, he kind of shells up.
Yeah, but that's how much of that, though, is like he's just not really. I mean, Tom Brady probably pretty similar stats. Like, how often are they actually behind by 14 points? They're usually the best quarterback in the game. They're not like Ben, where Ben would just suck for 3.5 quarters sometimes and then just put on his big boy pants and throw up 14 points in the last 2 minutes.
I would actually argue pretty hard that that was Tom Brady's entire career, but semantics.
As somebody else pointed out, Ricky Williams as another guy who took a year off and came back and was
Yeah,
really good, and that's a fair
that's true.
observation. Ricky Williams was real good that year.
Yeah, I forgot about Ricky. Shout out to Ricky.
Yeah, he normalized the conversation around weed and sports, I think. Truly.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Him and Reggie Bush were the two big ones.
Yeah, I don't remember Reggie so much. Shout out Reggie.
No?
Shout out 5-Star Sirens. Shout out Reggie Bush. I saw he's suing the NCAA and USC, I think. I've always said that's such a travesty that they took the Heisman Trophy away from him. Give it back. Give it back.
I think they are. I heard somewhere that they're like going to, or they announced that they would, or something like that.
No, they give it back. It's not cool. He's a kid. What,
Yeah.
you blame the kid for that's like people blaming Monica Lewinsky for the Bill Clinton scandal. Come on. It's not her fault. It's the president's fault.
I never gave one single shit about about Eli or even Johnny Manziel, for that matter, signing autographs for money. What, you're going to ask us, what, an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid? You're like, hey, I'm going to hand you a big stack of money. You just got to sign these papers. Come on. Who the
And then
hell's
we
not
make this scam of a system now where Archie Manning's grandson and Deion Sanders' son, they're already fucking rich and they get to make $10 million while they're in college. Well, it doesn't fix anything for the kids who are just like an offensive lineman at Mississippi State or whatever. I hate what they did. I hate it. I'm glad that the kids are getting paid, but it's ridiculous. All the money is so top heavy. You know how much money? I'm not even kidding. You know how much money Deion Sanders like kids are making over there at Colorado? Like, come on, dude. Does Deion Sanders' son need to make $10 million as a college player? No. There should be caps. Should be like a distribution kind of thing. It's ridiculous. But you know, enough. I don't want to get on that soapbox, but I just think it's silly.
How much does Bronny James make? That's what I want to know. How much does Bronny James make?
Well, he's on an NBA contract now.
Yeah, I know, but from what I've heard, I don't watch basketball. I know you do, though. And from what I've heard, he's terrible. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. He wouldn't have been an NBA draft pick if his dad wasn't LeBron. Yeah, no. He scored like 4 points a game at USC last year. That's...
Damn.
No, he's literally not an NBA player. He literally only got... I mean, the draft of the NBA is different because there's only 2 rounds. And like really, most NBA drafts, like if you get like 5 good players, it's like, you know, it's a good draft. Like honestly, like it's so top heavy. And usually like if you're a second round player that turns out to be like an all-star, that's like extremely uncommon. Like it's not like football where you could be a good player in like basketball. If you're a second round pick, you're probably not going to get a lot of minutes, or you're going to have to develop for like 5 years.
And I don't know, like I don't know a lot about the sport, and I don't pretend to, but just from what I understand, like the regular season doesn't even seem to matter, because it just seems like when I watch clips, right? Because when I see them on my TikTok or whatever, and you see guys taking uncontested threes over and over and over, like nobody even like tries or seems to try on defense, and it makes me laugh. Well, it's just like, what are we doing here?
I will say though, I will stand up for my New York Knicks because they ushered in a little bit of it. Are you kidding me? They make it a second round of the playoffs the last 2 years. They're closer to winning a championship than the Pittsburgh Steelers are. Are you kidding? Their Knicks are good. True. They had the second best record. They had the second best record in the East last year. Come on, son.
Forgive me, I'm showing my ignorance again, but like I only hear horror stories about the Knicks.
No.
So.
Well, it's been bad for a long time, but they got Jalen Brunson now, a big star. They're building a very tough, hard-nosed team. I think bringing a little bit of throwback basketball back. So I'm proud to say that. I agree, though. They got a little out of control with the threes. Now that everybody stopped listening because we're talking about basketball.
Thanks, Steph Curry.
Yes, shout out Steph Curry. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I guess we were talking about the revival quarterback thing. What did you say?
Yeah, no, so the revival quarterback thing is always fun to see. It's always good to see. Like someone mentioned in the chat, Joe Flacco, and how he was practically a third stringer. He comes up off the bench and just lights the league on fire again. Yeah. Shout out Joe Flacco. I've never been I've talked about how I think he's not a very good quarterback a lot of the times, but I am by no means a hater of Flacco because that dude always came to play. That was a big
Yeah.
thing about him, was that he was a lot like Ben in that regard. Ben was always better than him, and I'll stand up for that until my dying day. But Joe was he was like Ben. He was just a dude that showed up, and you knew he was going to play his ass off.
Yeah, no, ice in his veins. I always had fear of Flacco. I never doubted him when the Steelers had to play him. I think that's revisionist history that people act like he stunk his whole career. He won a Super Bowl. Sorry, last I checked, that's more than Lamar Jackson has ever done. That's all I'm going to say about that. And he had the best, arguably, maybe not even arguably, the best playoff run in NFL history for a quarterback. I mean,
he's
just
still
a fact.
The best quarterback in Ravens history. He still is better than Lamar, no matter how bad you Baltimore fans want Lamar to be better. He's just not.
I don't know if Baltimore. I mean, I think Baltimore fans probably love Flacco. I think it's other fans that shit on him. It's not like Dalton, where the Bengals just washed Dalton up the river and gave up. They fell out of love with him, and I think undeservedly so. But
I agree. Yeah, no. I guess what I meant is that they prop up Lamar. I don't know how many times a day I have to see on my social media that Lamar is the second best quarterback in the league, and it just makes me want to throw my computer out a window. Because it's just, come on, man. Come on. Come on. That's all I have to say. That's literally, that's my whole argument, is just, come on.
Come on. So are we confident in, are we believing what our eyes are seeing with Fields now after 3 weeks? Because I felt good about it, but I gotta say, one of the things that really just leapt off to me watching the game on Sunday was just how it's just completely effusive in his praise Tony Romo was about Justin Fields. If you listen to that game, I mean,
Steal of the off season,
just no level of like disclaimer, disqualifier, nothing. He just straight up, this is a guy who's taken a leap forward. It's connecting for him. And before even he had his best game of the season in that game, he was saying it off of the first 2 games. He was like so blown away and so impressed. And I got to say, man, after 3 games, I really am too. Because say what you want about, they're paring the offense down, all that kind of stuff, whatever. I don't care about that. That's the offensive coordinator's job. I'm seeing 3-4 throws a game where I'm like, that's a damn good throw. That one where he scrambled to the left and he threw it down Pickens down to the sideline just before the half. They didn't end up getting points because of they tried the 62-yard field goal. But that throw I thought was unbelievable. That little out he threw to Calvin Austin, no one ever looks at that a second time. And I looked at that a second time and I was like, Kenny Pickett, that's a pick 6. Like, literally, It is. And for him, it's just, it's a rope right to the guy, makes the play, gets out of bounds. And then the deep one down the middle to Muth that Muth couldn't catch, should have put him in field goal range. And then, 4, 5, 6 other ones in the first 2 weeks, man. I'm impressed.
So, right off the bat, I want to say that having a balanced team is not enough to win a championship. But having a balanced team with a hell of an athlete at quarterback is a recipe for a championship. Does that mean we're going to win a Super Bowl this year? No. I'm just saying. But I really love what I'm seeing from him so far. I'm seeing poise. I'm seeing he's comfortable and he's not really like freaking out and being jittery and making bad decisions. I am still hesitant to listen, I've had my heart broken before, we all have. And I want to avoid that with Justin Fields. I'm going to wait a little longer before I officially crown him as the future of the franchise. But so far through 3 games, he's been every bit as good as you could possibly hope for him to be, and then some. Those throws, those deep shots, him and GP, I think this is showing more than GP having a connection to whoever the quarterback is, and just shows how damn good George Pickens is. That guy is fucking excellent. If that guy was on the Chiefs, he would be arguably the best receiver in the NFL. That's my opinion.
He's impressive.
Yeah, it's great to see. I lost my train of thought, but yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at a team now and I have to question, I really wonder with the Wilson injury, I really, really, really wonder how much of this is Tomlin Trojan horsing Justin Fields to a low pressure starting position, right? Because we just have to think about this. Is this a guy who is like the Godfather? He's pulling the strings. He's got the marionette. Like, I just think about this. I'm not saying he got Russell Wilson hurt on purpose. Obviously, but I'm just saying, like, if it was Kyle Allen instead of Justin Fields as the backup quarterback, was Russell Wilson healthy enough to play in week 2? I'm just saying, like, would Russell Wilson be healthier if Justin Fields wasn't the backup quarterback? I think it's fair to ask.
No, and you're probably right. The healthier thing, I think it comes down to like margin for error is not the right word. I'm trying to think of how I want to say that, but it all comes down to like risk management, where it's like, okay, if we have nothing after Russell Wilson, you probably you can't go down 0-2 to start the year. You can't go down 0-2 to start the year. And so, I mean, like, you can understand then bringing him in while his calf is, call it 80, 85% instead of 100. And I mean, that 80 to 85 versus 100 thing is always kind of a myth anyway. Because
what does it mean?
No football player waits the full allotted time before they come back. I got so angry watching Kenny Pickett play 6 days after a concussion. That drove me fucking crazy. And so it becomes one of those things where you're like, that marginal amount doesn't really matter if there's nothing behind him in the first place.
Well, and we saw a similar thing last year, because you said that thing about the concussion, and you're right. Mm-hmm. But what about the Pickett ankle last year, where that created an opportunity for the other quarterbacks? Because there was that period of time, lest we forget, where Pickett was Pickett was signaling to the media, I'm good to go, I'm going to play. And he kept starting Mason Rudolph. So I just think that gives you a little bit of evidence to say that Tomlin is not afraid to lean on injury as the reason. Yeah. And the thing that got this going in my mind, shout out BearPod, by the way, be like BearPod, drop a 5-star $5 in the chat. He is basking in the National Media Analyst Apology Tour, because all the power rankings and morning shows, are now ranking us. I think I saw Pro Football Talk had us ranked 4th in the power rankings today, which is just incredible. And he says last in the AFC North. Last in the AFC North, last I checked. Cincinnati Bengals 0-3, Pittsburgh Steelers 3-0. So shout out BearPod. If you want to be like BearPod, drop a 5-star $5 in the chat right now, or go over to patreon.com/5SMU and become a member over there today.
Give me Fran and everybody else paid, because otherwise we won't have food for the month.
Yeah, listen, I gotta feed Gage, I gotta pay somebody to walk him. Like, I have jobs, people. Like, I'm busy. So I think that just, it's something to think about with the Tomlin thing, with the Fields thing, and with the Wilson thing. And what I also didn't know that I learned a lot from listening to Tony Romo. I gotta tell you, I think he's the best analyst, color commentator going in the NFL right now. I don't care. Yeah. Ever since Al Michaels left Sunday Night Football, Romo and Nance is my favorite broadcast. It just is. Fact. He said something that was interesting, which was that Wilson and Fields had something of a mentor-mentee relationship while Justin Fields was in college. I guess he reached out to him and they would talk. Justin Fields and Russell Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Unless I heard this wrong. If I heard it wrong, somebody correct me. But that's what I believe he was saying. He was saying that Fields had reached out to Wilson, and so they I guess had a pre-existing relationship. And so that again gets me just thinking of like, man, how we have to give Tomlin some credit of seeing this bigger picture. Did we just give Justin Fields a really good spot where he didn't have the pressure of being the number one quarterback? You're not being asked to come in and make the team better. You're just being asked to come in, prove your spot on the roster, work hard, and then you can go make a shitload of money for yourself next year, whether it's here or somewhere else. He's got a mentor that he's comfortable with. He's got a new quarterback coach,
Mm-hmm.
new offensive coordinator, all looking to prove themselves. I don't know. I'm just saying we're living in a world where a lot of people want to blame Mike Tomlin for a lot of really surface level things that are easy for a fan to dissect. I just want to point out this is a higher level multi-tiered thing that I want to give him credit for that I think was probably pretty smart.
Mike is Mike, like I know the guy, but yeah, Coach Tomlin is one of the great planters of seeds of our generation. There's the
I like that.
Tomlinism for you.
Yeah.
No, but he really is all about that. I mean, I know that he was pretty chummy with Patrick Peterson before he got drafted, and then lo and behold, a number of years later, he makes his way over to the Berg. Yeah, and then he became a meme for however long, where anytime anybody was spotted at the airport, it was Patrick Peterson or whoever else being spotted at the airport. But it was also one of my favorite examples of him kind of planting the seed is Patrick Queen. He had this habit. I don't know if you know this, Steve. You watched a lot of film. Have you seen Tomlin yelling at Patrick Queen during Ravens games? You're not a Raven. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if Tomlin really believed that at the time, or if he was just planting the seed and trying to get him to come over to the dark side, so to speak. But that's what Mike does. He has relationships with a ton of players and a ton of coaches. You saw him bring B-Flow in the second that he got fired from Miami. So, I mean, he's
Smart
a guy
move.
that has connections, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I mean, he's the longest tenured head coach in the league at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's he when you think about it, you're talking about the owners' meetings, the coaches' meetings. Now that Belichick, Pete Carroll, all them are out of the league, who is a more respected figure in that room than Mike Tomlin at this point? Truly. I mean, are there, who are I'm trying to remember, who even is, a head coach that's, older than him at this point? He's got to be closer to the oldest head coach. Oh, Andy Reid. Yeah, Andy Reid definitely up there.
But I think that's it, though.
But I mean, he's up there, right? I mean, as far as just respected figures and just he's been in the league so long. I don't know. I just wanted to give him credit there. John Harbaugh is older than him. Mike McCarthy's older than him. Is he still the Cowboys head coach? I don't even know.
Yeah, for now. I want to say that it is funny though that Belichick. That Belichick has talked about, or no, I'm sorry, Gunnar Olszewski mentioned that Belichick said that Mike Tomlin is the only head coach that he respects. For some reason, that just cracks me up. He's Mike Tomlin is the only head coach in the room that he would ever say nice things about, and so he's the sage now, even though he's only in his 50s or so.
Yeah, I think he's 53, 54, something like that.
Do you think that we're going to see him here for another 10, 15, 20 years? I could totally see him with gray hair and a beard or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if
the standard is the standard, such is life, and not even remembering.
I don't know if it'll be that long, but if you asked me to bet, my life savings if he would be the head coach in 2030, I would probably bet yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would say. I don't know if it'd be much longer than that. Because I do think it's so obvious, but I just think the Cowher path for him is so perfect. Go be on TV, man. Do us a favor. I want to see Mike Tomlin doing content every week. I mean, that's how I want things to go. If come be on 5-Star Matchup, I'll sell him the title of the show. I'll sell him the show.
It is his verbiage, if memory serves me correctly. But Mike T is a guy who could be an exceptional, color guy. He could be an exceptional, play-by-play guy. He could be an exceptional, analyst. He could do the Urban Meyer thing. No, not that Urban Meyer thing, but the other Urban Meyer thing where he's on TV talking about interesting things about football. And yet I don't think he'll do any of that.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll do a single bit of that. I think that once he finally decides to retire, you'll probably never hear from him again.
Yeah, definitely possible. Shout out Sean Manahan, not to be confused with former Steelers center Sean Mahan, who dropped a 5-star fiver in the chat. Be like Sean, drop a 5-star
Yes.
fiver in the chat. Let's go. And he says, how much better will this defense get when Sutton gets back? I mean, it's a positive. I don't know. I love Cam Sutton, or I did love Cam Sutton. I have conflicting feelings about Cam Sutton now. But he's a talented player, and he gives you, if nothing else, depth. Gives you a lot of options in the dime package. But I don't know where he's going to play, because I think Beanie Bishop has been really solid at the slot, and I think it behooves you to build up a young guy there. And, I mean, yeah, he gives you options on the outside, but right now, without injury, I'm impressed by Joey Porter. Obviously, his job is in no trouble. And I'm really impressed by Dante Jackson. Dante, don't call me Deontay Jackson. I think he's been really good. He's been physical. He's making tackles. All I heard was that he was a speed guy, that he was really fast, and that made me worried that he wasn't going to be a good tackler. But I think he's been really nice in run support. He hasn't been, obviously poor in pass coverage. I think that's looking like a nice trade for the boys right now.
Yeah, I think that we swindled pretty much everybody we traded with this offseason. I know you're going to say, well, no, Deontay's fine. He's doing okay. Yeah, sure. Now that they have Andy Dalton, fair. But I mean, I still he's a hothead, and that Deontay's going to flame out because he always does.
Yeah. But was it a bad, I don't think it's a bad trade for Carolina. I think they, I think that was just a trade that just was fine for both parties. That's all.
Depends on how long until he flames out. How about that? We'll put it that way. Because if he flames out 3 games from now, yeah, it's a bad trade. Man, in terms of that, but then you also look at the Bears with the 6th round pick that we got for Fields, and Tony Romo, to your point, was talking about that and was saying can you believe that they gave him a 6th round pick? I thought they gave up too much for a 6th round pick. I'd have offered him a 7 and said take it or leave it, which is why I am not an NFL GM. But it's great. It's great to see how little resources we get for. We paid the vet minimum for Russell Wilson. I mean, even if that's just a mentorship contract, if you will, still paying the vet minimum for it is not bad.
No, and even just as a backup quarterback, that's the other thing. I love YouTube and Twitter GMs where it's So I'm an idiot, right? I was streaming Tomlin's press conference today, on YouTube, and I love to go into the live chat as 5-star matchup, just to. I mean, it's a little bit of marketing, having a little fun.
PR.
And it's just fun, whatever. It's kind of cool when people are like, yo, what up, 5-star in the chat. Fuck you. I'm allowed to cash in my minimal YouTube cachet. Fuck you. Don't judge me. And it's just funny when that happens. And I just love poking the bear, because you'll just see people in there that are like, they should trade Russell Wilson for Tyreek Hill or whatever the fuck. And it's but that's the thing that keeps coming up. Everybody's like, oh, trade Russell Wilson. Why on earth would they trade Russell Wilson? What are you going to get back that's better than Russell Wilson as your backup quarterback? Even if you don't want him to start, which I don't. I still want him in the room. It'd be pretty darn good insurance policy if Justin Fields has to miss a couple of games, no?
Yeah, I mean, I'd take that over, I know I said in my video, why the hell didn't we just keep Mason Rudolph? But I mean, having a vet like Russ in the background is probably a lot better. And I mean, it's there's not this
he's a better player than Mason Rudolph. It's just a fact.
Yeah, sure. Sure. But I'm talking about just being in the quarterback room and things like that. I mean, it's just a lot better to have Russ, a guy who, maybe he wasn't the reason that they won the Super Bowl, but he's at least been there and knows what it takes. And I like it. I like the dynamic that they're building. And like you said, that apparently Russ and Justin Fields apparently have a history together. And I mean, that's, again, like I mentioned earlier, that's just what makes Tomlin, is that he's a master with people. Doesn't he have some kind of communications degree or something like that?
I don't know, but I sure as hell do.
So you would know. No.
What the fuck do I know? Shout out Sean, communications degree, as I do poorly at communicating. Shout out Sean Mahan dropping another 5-star fiver in the chat. What a legend. Be like Sean. I saw we got a new Patreon sub while we were talking. Be like Sean, join Patreon, drop a 5-star fiver in the chat. We love you. We appreciate you. The streams, as you guys know, this is the only chance we have to monetize on YouTube. The show gets copyright flagged every week. I can't monetize it. So if you want to contribute to 5-Star Matchup, those commercials you're watching, that revenue is going to the NFL, not me. So if you see commercial while you're watching the stream, deal with it. And also drop a 5-star fiver in the chat. Speaking of which, we do have those giveaways to do, and I want to do 2. So let's you want to do one of them now?
Let's do it.
And yeah. We'll do another one in a little bit. Keep the people talking for a second. I got to pull up a tab and copy some stuff, and
So I'm looking through the chat here, Jens. I see a lot of the. You should hear Tomlin's graduation speech. Yeah, you see, that's one of the ones I haven't heard, and I'd like to one of these days. One of my favorite speeches that Tomlin gave was about the it's not what you're capable of, it's what you're willing to do. About how I know plenty of people that are capable, and I know so much fewer people that are willing. And it's just, he's so fucking good with words. And I think Tomlin, in a lot of ways, has probably influenced how much I enjoy quotes and how much I enjoy how people verbalize and phrase things. But yeah, I'll have to look up that graduation speech one of these days.
Was that for his college, William and Mary, or wherever he went? I don't know. Shout out to Black Rain, by the way. Always a valued member of the YouTube of the 5-Star community. One of the pillars of our Discord server, definitely.
Any ends out there that think that like content creators don't pay attention to? Well, I'm sure some of them don't, but think that content creators don't pay attention to like who their frequent patrons or who their frequent commenters are. It's not true.
It's always appreciated, man. Especially like I said, the Patreon, the members, the people that drop y'all. I appreciate it so much. Because I appreciate it so much, we are going to do our little thing here. I have
one of our little giveaways.
I have a wheel here. Excuse me while I make it up in real time. Gage, you won't be able to see it because I can't share the screen, but you'll see it on YouTube if you open the window. I have all of the people. So I said I'd do one for new patrons and one for old patrons. So this is for a $50 NFL shop gift card. I'm just trying to be a good guy, give it back, pay it forward. So I entered everybody who has become a patron since the start of this season, since we had to push over to Patreon because of YouTube, which shout out YouTube. We've been able to actually monetize again, or we've been able to put our show back on YouTube in full, but still, thank you, patrons. Anyway, this is all of the people that have subscribed since September this year, and then we're going to do another one later in the show for the OG patrons who have been in longer. So here we go. I'm gonna spin the wheel, Gage. Let's do it.
You spin me right around, baby, right around.
I wish that we could use copyrighted music and
if only.
Let's see. Wait, what's this customized? Ticking sound? Yeah, we want that, right? Let's do some ticking sound. Oh wait, 8-bit? Let's see what that sounds like. Game of Rings. Yeah, let's try that. Oh yeah, it's like Sonic.
Yeah, I can't hear any of those.
Yeah, you won't be able to hear because it's not.
Okay.
Sorry about that. During spin, 10%. Let's have it take 15 seconds. All right. Let's go. We are gonna spin the wheel. It is spinning. It is spinning, folks. You are gonna win some money. How much do we love our patrons, Gage?
Oh my goodness. More than we love our own families.
Oh, we have a winner. There you go. Cole Mishna. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but hopefully you see this. That would be very anticlimactic if you didn't see this. I don't know if you're in the chat. But congratulations. I'm gonna DM you and you are gonna win a $50 NFL shop gift card. Hopefully you use it to get a Justin Fields jersey or something like that.
Congrats, brother.
Congratulations. First ever live giveaway on 5-Star Matchup. Shout out Cole. Yeah. What a legend. What a legend. Um, yeah. So where were we?
That's a good question. I was kind of looking through the chat. I saw someone was mentioning Mike Tomlin about how his speeches and things like that. And then I think I got to some point. I was going to mention Trice and Beanie because you and
Mm.
I were talking about the secondary and with what's his name? With who's coming back?
Cam Sutton.
Cam Sutton. Jesus,
Yeah, well,
I've
that's good timing because, well, he's not coming back for a couple weeks still, but
yeah.
Trice is out for the year. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me! Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for the whole
Again?
year, but he's on IR. Yeah, they put him on IR.
Man, I love Corey. I don't know how much you know of Corey's story and whatnot, but I've been rooting for that dude since he got here.
Yeah, he's
You know,
he's given shades of Corey Golson at this point, or Senquez Trice.
Daniel Sepulveda.
No.
Oh,
Oh man, so yeah, but
no.
but I think and I think Beanie has been really solid. He's got
Ooh.
shades of Mike Hilton, dare I say?
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
Beanie and Corey, I've loved to see how they've kind of carved out a role. I mean, well, I can't say Corey now, but like Beanie and Corey both just kind of had that ability to make one play per game. But that one play per game was usually like a key deflection or a key interception. So I guess I'll focus on Beanie, I guess, for the time being, because he's still active. But I mean, Beanie's quick. You said he had the Mike Hilton kind of feel to him, and I like that comparison. I wonder if he's gonna stay long term. I would love to see him be some kind of dime package guy that you just kind of bring in occasionally. The Steelers love to have an endless rotation of defenders, whether it's the D line or moving people in the secondary around. So we'll have to see where Beanie goes, but I've liked him so far.
yeah, no, I mean it seems like they found a little diamond in the rough, and I think he was, a somewhat touted slot player in college. So,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, the league just refuses to value players at that position. I think it's so funny and fucked up, but hey, they don't even have long snappers in Madden. So if that tells you anything about how much like league cares about specialists.
Yeah. Only casuals play Madden at this point.
That's true, but like, just put a position for long snappers in there. Like,
I agree.
let Greg Warren not be a third string tight end, okay?
I was gonna say it's always a 30 overall tight end that you can just cut and it's fine, and your long snapper
It's
still
literally the
works just
first
fine.
person. It's the first thing you do. Literally cut the
Hmm.
long snapper. Um,
Man,
yeah, no. So
I've been
yeah.
playing a lot of NCAA 14 lately, and I mean it's just been so
Oh,
much better than Madden in any way, shape, or form. I would love to have a couple matches against you, maybe that we can stream on the channel, but I don't know if you've ever played on
uh,
the PC NCAA 14.
I haven't ever played NCAA 14 on the PC, but I played NCAA when it was a game. I
Hmm.
didn't they reboot it this year? I heard people
Yeah.
like it. I heard people are happy with it.
Yeah, I don't have a next gen console.
Oh, all right. It's not on PC also.
No, it's not.
Oh,
They're not setting it on PC, and I don't
oh,
understand.
oh. That sucks. Yeah, I don't have a console either.
Yeah.
Damn, that sucks. Yeah, Kevin the Elder God, shout out, longtime patron, says, I'm not sure if Trice is out the whole year, but Faribaugh and Pryor said he's out for 4 weeks with a hammy issue. Yeah, I thought they saw him. They put him on
Okay.
IR or something, so I don't know how IR works anymore. Sometimes you go on IR and you're never coming back, and sometimes you go on IR and you're coming back.
And
Whatever.
sometimes you're like Tom Brady, and you purposely exploit those loopholes and those listings in order to get an advantage on the opponent. But that's neither here nor there.
Hey, if that's what you got to do to win, that's what you got to do to win. Win at any cost. Steelers fan says NCAA 14 on the PS3 was elite. Yeah,
Mm.
I think who's on the cover of NCAA 14? Is it Denard Robinson or something?
Ah, shit.
That
Yeah,
guy
I don't
from
actually know who
Michigan?
it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't. Uh,
Michigan, that place up north.
yeah, I think it's
Michigan.
him. It's Denard Robinson. He was like a quarterback, running back kind of guy in Michigan.
Uh,
I think he got drafted by the Jags and didn't do anything in the NFL. Um, yeah.
yeah, I mean, for every what is it? For every Lamar Jackson, there's about 100 Wow. And I actually forgot his name. He was that dude from the Bengals that they drafted at like number 3 overall.
Number 3 overall. When?
Yeah. Yeah, this is like the early 2000s. I'm trying to think of
Achilles
his
Smith?
name right there. Achilles Smith. There it is. Jesus Christ. I wanted to say
Yeah,
Kajana Carter, and I was like, no, that's the running back that
that
got
was a
injured.
running
And
back.
mm,
Yeah.
poor Kajana Carter.
Um. Well.
Yeah, I don't know where that went.
Yeah. I don't know. We're all over the place. We're talking about NCAA 14. We're talking about Justin Strawberry Fields.
Talking about basketball.
Yeah, we're all over the place. The only thing we haven't talked about yet that people always tune out when we talk about is professional wrestling. But luckily,
Yes.
I don't have anything to say about professional wrestling right now. I haven't seen any since
Yeah.
WrestleMania. Will James Pierre factor into the secondary, or is he strictly special teams? I think if he factors into the secondary, something went wrong.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, I think he's a great guy to have on their roster because he is elite at being a gunner. And that is, again, another specialized position. And he knows the system, so it's not a bad... I'm glad they picked him up because I think he's a guy where if he's your 4th or 5th best cornerback, that's a good thing. But I don't think they have any intention to... They know what he is. He was here for, what, 4 years? I mean, he just... he is what he is.
Practice squad and then sign, practice squad and then sign. I mean, this isn't a James Harrison situation. He kind of just is what he is.
I think you're more likely to see Terrell Edmonds get involved in the defense than you are James Pierre. Because I think Terrell Edmonds, I think they'll find a spot for him eventually, whether it's injury. He's not going to be playing every down because Deshaun Elliott's a better player and he's been fantastic so far. But, I mean, Terrell Edmonds is a playable player if you put him in the right position for sure.
I mean, I agree. I mean, he can defend a lot of tight ends and he can do pretty well guarding running backs in the flat and whatnot. But I feel like we just got away from Terrell and we signed him again immediately because I feel like the majority of the coverage busts we've had the last number of years have been on him. I don't have numbers to back that up. I'm just going off of the eye test. And it just feels like every goddamn time there's a coverage bust, it's Terrell Edmonds' guy, and he's like 10 yards away from where he should be. He's not Mike Mitchell bad in terms of coverage busts, but my God, it feels like he gets burned horrifically at least like twice a game.
Yeah, no, I'm not making the case that he's like a great player. I'm just making the case if he's like the 12th or 13th best player on your defense, that's fine. You could do a lot worse than that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited to see where this goes. Indianapolis has been kind of crappy this year. Anthony Richardson's completing less than 50% of his passes. If you just look at that position, as you guys know, I always judge a game by that position. Justin Fields is completing 72% of his passes. He's not turning the ball over. Anthony Richardson. Hello.
Hey, I can hear you now.
Yeah. I think it's coming back. Sorry about that. Not sure what you guys are seeing out there in the world, but I think we should be reconnecting here somewhere. Something happened.
Did your internet die?
It seems to have gotten a little bit wonky.
Okay.
But I think we're back. I think you're not on camera. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, I had to keep it off. I don't know if keeping both people's webcams on was part of the problem.
No, I think it just some hiccup with my internet. It happens. Okay.
I am getting my internet updated finally. It'll be happening this Friday.
Oh, nice.
So.
It's been pretty good throughout this year. I mean, that's just a little hiccup. Happens to even the best of us,
Yeah.
Can I just say how great it's been watching Zach Frazier dominate at the point of attack?
Yeah.
Yeah? How about that? Zach Frazier has been... Center? Easily. They give, I think, Pro Football Focus, again, say what you will, gave him like a 95 plus in both pass and run block grades this week. Again, say what you want, but 95 is a hell of a grade, man. The guy's looking phenomenal. He's just clearing out space. And I think him and Najee, and then you mix in Justin Fields with what he can do at the point of attack, they start getting these like RPO things going. I think that there's a ton of potential for this offense to just keep growing. And I think a powerful center like Zach Frazier just unlocks so much of that.
I love that we're basically just playing a big old college offense. We got our Slash Stewart of the future We're running a bunch of RPOs. We're running the ball 40 million times a game and throwing, you know what I mean? We're just kind of having fun. Please, please, God, can we bring back the Wildcat? I just need that in my life. I need a little bit of just once a game. Just once a game, if we're near the goal line, pull out the Wildcat. I'm sure Jalen can be the handoff guy. I'm sure that I'm sure that Najee can probably be the Wildcat. You know, like standing in the backfield and whatnot. Come on, give me a little bit of Wildcat.
Jalen Warren or Jalen Samuels? Let's bring him back. Have him throw some passes again. Remember when he threw an interception?
Listen, Antonio Brown and Jalen Samuels both have thrown interceptions for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was in like pretty much the same season.
Kevin the Elder God says, as great as Zach Frazier has been, PFF has James Daniels ranked even better. Daniels is the #1 rated offensive lineman on PFF. All right. I mean, go off.
Oh, yeah, my bad. But yeah, no, as far as I know that a lot of people had Frazier, Troy, and God, I can't. Spencer Anderson, is that his name? Did I get that one right?
Mm-hmm.
I memorize names for a living, and so it's very difficult to do it at my free time too. But yeah, I mean, like they said that there were 3 of the 5 best linemen in the draft, and I think you're seeing that. I think that like we got to give another shout out to the con artist himself, Omar Khan. He has done spectacularly in the draft since taking over.
Yeah, I mean, especially looking back to some of those drafts, 20, 21, 22, that maybe don't look so strong in retrospect. 23 and 24 are looking really strong so far. I mean, the double dip with the offensive line this year, you know, it's only going to pay off with Frazier this year, unfortunately, for Troy going out. But, I mean, you know, I don't think anybody has any question that he's going to be a high-end player. He already looks like a really good player. So, hopefully Broderick Jones could take advantage of his opportunity here and, you know, be what we thought he was going to be. I don't think that it was totally... I haven't liked the way that they've handled him so far. No. But that's not his fault, and I think it's a little unfair to do to a raw-ish young player like that. But you know, I think he has all the potential in the world to continue his career and be really good. So, yeah, I like the state of the offensive line. I like the fact that we have a quarterback who's not bailing out of clean pockets like they're on fire. I love the fact that we have a quarterback who's throwing the ball accurately. And again, it's those little things, man. This is what I continue to be so impressed with, is it's the accuracy on easy stuff. Like the accuracy on the stuff that's like screen passes and little crossers and just giving people the opportunity to catch and run with the football. That was the stuff that Pickett was woefully bad at. Pickett could throw the ball down the field. I never said he couldn't throw the ball down the field. What Pickett couldn't do was continuously throw accurate, you know, screen passes and crossers and little outs and stuff while on the move. Like, and that's what Justin Fields has done. On the move, yeah, and that's what Justin Fields has done so well. They're moving the launch point and they're moving the pocket, and he's hitting throws, and it's making it so that we're getting 4 yards on first. And I know that seems like such a small thing. Huge. But how often in the last 2 years were we sitting at 2nd and 9 because their best play on first down was a 1 yard run up the gut with Najee? Like, you know, I mean, these there's a reason the Steelers are converting one of the highest percentages of third downs in the league, or I don't know if they are, but they're converting a way higher percentage than their opponents. And the reason that that's happening is because they're constantly, since the first game, in 3rd and 4 or less. And that makes it so much easier, especially when you have a dual threat quarterback. We saw it with the Redskins with the Washington Commanders last night. Excuse me. That you know, you give your quarterback options when you have 3rd and medium or less. And I think that's huge part of what the Steelers are doing with Fields this year.
I feel like it's what they were trying to do with Matt Canada, but they didn't have the line, the talent, or the Matt Canada for it. Or I guess I should say, or they didn't have the good offensive coordinator to coordinate it. But you could tell what they were trying to do and what they've been trying to do for the last couple of years, even like to the tail end of the Randy days where it was like ball control, get 4 yards every single play and like never go backwards. You saw what they were trying to do. It's just like I said this in the show last week where I just got so fucking tired of 2nd and 12.
Yeah,
Like it literally it got me angry. Like not because again like the it was harder for our offense or anything like that. I just got so agitated. I was like, can we not get a 2nd and 7 just once in this game? Like it always has to be 2nd and 15, 3rd and 18. You're like, just punt already. Like don't even bother.
No, you're so right. And then it's like, and that's the thing about young quarterbacks where that's the problem is it snowballs, and then you make it harder on the player to be good, right? Like that's the problem is like they're not good, so then they get in bad situations that are disadvantageous for the offense, and then they look worse because they're consistently going against a teeing off pass rush because it's 3rd and 12 and they got to complete it because they've scored 6 fucking points in the whole game. I mean, like it's it's snowballed. I think that Kenny Pickett and Matt Canada were just so clearly a match made in hell. That's just the reality. Like I think either of them might have been more successful in the NFL if they weren't married to each other. They were just not right for each other. They just were not right for each other. And I think that that's just abundantly clear. But I think shout out to, again, Black Rain, beloved 5-star patron, of course. Be like Black Rain, join Patreon. Shout out to QB coach Tom Arth. And I want to say, like, I've criticized the Steelers now for a long time, the way that they handled the offensive assistant coach positions in the later Roethlisberger years, because as everybody knows, I've said 10 million times, they literally didn't have a quarterback coach when they drafted Josh Dobbs, Mason Rudolph, and I think that that's a real big failure. And I do think it's part of the failure of Pickett. But they went out and it seems like they got themselves a really nice quarterback coach this year, and they paired him with an experienced, capable offensive coordinator. And I think it's working out for them.
I also thought that Matt Canada actually, when he was the quarterback coach, not the OC, but I actually thought that he was an adequate quarterback coach. You actually saw significant improvement when Mason Rudolph went from being under Randy's tutelage to Matt Canada's. It just turns out that when you promote somebody to the point of incompetence, eventually there's going to be a changing of the guard.
Right. And I mean, also how much of that has to do with, Rudolph just being a more experienced player. I mean, when they put him
is not linear.
Yeah, it's not. But when they put him in 2019, I mean, he had no chance, like I said. I mean, so it's, Tom Arth, what's he done, by the way? He, I
don't know.
He played in the NFL briefly. He was the pass game specialist for the Chargers the last 2 years. So he worked with Justin Herbert.
I would say he was a Herbert guy. Yeah, no, I mean, I paid zero attention to whoever they hired as the Steelers QB coach. I'm just being honest. I did because there are just times where that Art or whoever's making the decisions are going to make them in the interest of penny pinching rather than going out and getting the best candidate. And it almost felt like, okay, fine, here, take your quarterback coach and stop asking me about it. And so it feels good we actually got a halfway decent quarterback coach, because it's not what I was expecting. But I don't know how to follow that up. But
no, I mean, I'm with you. It's typically been a thing where they never get really high end hires at those positions. But I mean, for what it's worth, the guy's basically Ben Roethlisberger's age. He was born in 1981. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Not to be ageist, but I have thought for the longest time that the Steelers have become a bit of dinosaurs from the coaching perspective. And I've criticized Tomlin for that, and I'll give him credit. To this point, he's looking like he's made some good offseason moves. I mean, it can all go to hell in a handbasket. Who knows? We were 6-3 last year. But as of right now, I gotta say I'm impressed with the offseason that Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin pulled off, and I'm impressed with how it looks on field the first 3 weeks of the season. To me, it's just a matter of I'm just excited to watch them. And honestly, 3 weeks ago before the season started, I was not excited to watch the Steelers offense because it had been such a drag for so long. And now it's like kind of fun. You don't know what Justin Fields is going to do. He might pull the ball and run for 5, 10, 15 yards. He might throw a touchdown pass, God forbid, It's fun to watch.
Ben was still the quarterback here. When Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback, you and I were still on the show going, what are we doing on offense, though? Like, yeah, we're scoring, but what are we doing? What is our identity? What is the point of any play call that we make? And we just saw for years that never, ever got addressed. So while I agree that, Mike T is finally making some changes, he also is kind of slow to make those changes a lot of times. But it feels really good to have. I mean, Arthur Smith is already easily the best OC we've had since Todd Haley, and he's probably better than Todd Haley. I don't know if Todd Haley was Todd Haley good, or did he have Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger? That's kind of my question.
Le'Veon Bell and David DeCastro and Marquise Pouncey. Did they have 7 Pro Bowlers on offense one year or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's a number of first-round picks there too. I mean, yeah. So, like, you give Arthur Smith all that, I'm sure that he could probably fare just as well.
Yeah.
I wonder how often the play calls were just Ben being like, "Shut up, Todd. I got it."
Yeah,
I hope so.
Definitely. I mean, I definitely think Todd Haley was a good offensive coordinator. I always did. I thought he got a lot of unfair hate. Because he's kind of he's just one of those guys that's rough around the edges, and that's just his identity and his persona. But yeah, I don't know. It's been fun, man. I'm having a good time watching the Steelers for the first time in a while, and
years.
Shout out Strawberry Fields forever.
Yeah, to be honest, it's been years since the last time I was actually like actively excited to watch the Steelers. More than just kind of the face value, hey, it's football season, it's back. This is the first time that in a while we're looking at the games. I'm like, I want to see what they do on offense. I wonder if we're going to get another long ball to Pickens. I wonder if we're going to get another 265 yards to 0 in the second half. It's you can call it fair weather, but at the end of the day, I don't know anybody that really wants to watch losing 28-0 to the Brownies in the wild card round. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that what we're starting to see is a team that offensively you have a little bit of confidence in. They haven't been going 3 and out. That was the thing, last year.
Possession.
I remember that second Browns game last year, which was ultimately the nail in the coffin for Matt Canada, where they fired him after that game. And I just remember being like, God, Jesus, like, weren't the Browns playing Dorian Thompson-Robinson in that game? Like, it was literally one of those things where you're like, man, if they just had a competent quarterback, if they put Mason Rudolph in that game, they would have won it by 10 points. I mean, it was just so brutal. It was maybe the hardest I ever saw an NFL quarterback make a game look. And part of that was the Browns defense being good, but I
just
just
like the number 1 defense last year.
Yeah, but it was just, I mean, you were they had opportunity after opportunity to just go and score once, and they couldn't do it. Absolutely terrible. This year, I have confidence. I see Fields in a 3rd and 9, and I'm like, all right,
what's
he gonna do? He might make a nice throw. He can make every pass. He's using the middle of the field. They remember that Pat Freiermuth exists, which is exciting to me. They're using him like wide receiver too, which they should, because he's really good. Calvin Austin's kind of sliding into that second wide receiver spot, but kind of wide receiver 3 after Muth and Pickens. And good for him. He's taking an opportunity. He's still not anything special, but he catches everything. He looks the part. And, if he keeps getting open, I think Fields will keep giving him opportunities.
Calvin Austin is our Willie Parker at wide receiver. That's how I'm choosing to look at him because he's got speed. Does he have a lot else?
Yeah. He can catch. He's got good hands. He's got good hands. Yeah.
He's got decent hands. He's got better hands than Deontay Johnson does. but just in general, just putting him in that specific role and just be like, you know what, Georgie, you get on one side, Calvin, you get on the other. Both of you, or at least one of you, is going to get man coverage. Go beat him.
Well, that's the thing, right? And that's what having even a competent quarterback, and this would be the case even if Russell Wilson was playing,
and coordinator.
Yeah, you have somebody, I know, right? And that's the thing, but that's why it all comes back to the quarterback, though, because you have to have somebody who can consistently hit those throws if you're gonna tell Calvin Austin to go run deep, because they did do that last year. I'm sure he ran a lot of deep routes. It just so happens that you only remember one play Calvin Austin made all year last year because that was the only time that he got hit on a deep throw where he was open. And kudos to Pickett for hitting him, but God knows how many times he missed him. I know he missed him today because I saw it on Twitter. Somebody posted the last play Kenny Pickett played as a Steeler, which was that one where he got hurt against the Cardinals. And they I mean, so say whatever you want about the offense. They drew up a little play where Calvin Austin came to the left in motion, and he was wide open for a touchdown. Wide open for an easy touchdown, and Pickett never even ponders looking his direction. He doesn't even think about it. He looks right to where there's 15 defenders, and Darnell Washington and whoever else tucks it, runs, gets smashed, hurts his ankle, and doesn't even score a touchdown. That was just like the perfect, just the ultimate ending to the Pickett era. But
so
Fields
near
is
and yet so far.
Exactly, and Fields is just making the plays and he's hitting guys, and that's all you can ask for, man. I don't know. I'm bullish. I'm bullish on the Pittsburgh Steelers after week 3. I think that you start 3-0, and I'm saying, okay, you just upped my expectation of. I come into the season saying I think you should go 10-7. I think at 3-0 now I'm saying you should go 11-6 or better.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It really is kind of at a point where I'm skeptical of success with us because I think that 11-0 run was a little bit of smoke and mirrors. The 6-3 run from last year was a little bit of smoke and mirrors.
This doesn't feel like it though, man. It doesn't feel like it.
This does not feel that way. We're winning games that we deservedly win. And I appreciate that, and that's why I'm hesitant. I'm going one step at a time with Justin Fields because I've already been baffled multiple times by the great plays that he's been able to make this year, but also there's part of me that's expecting to be baffled by seeing him throw 3 or 4 interceptions next game. I'm just being cautious right now. I'm exercising caution, but I've loved what I've seen from Justin so far, and I hope I'm wrong. And so far I've been wildly wrong, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Listen, okay, here's the thing. Let's look at this schedule, right? We got Colts. I'm not going to include division games because I want to talk about them second, right? So we got Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants. How do we play both New York teams back to back in Pittsburgh? Throw me a freaking bone, would you? Are you kidding?
Of course that has to happen to you.
Neither of them are in New York? Is that a joke? Is that a joke, Roger Goodell? Are you trying to spite me? Okay, how much time do you think I have? Come on, how long it take me an hour to get to the Meadowlands? I'd be there in an hour. Come on. All right.
You just got to drive over to New Jersey real quick.
I mean, it's probably costs me more to go over the tunnel than it does in gas to get to Pittsburgh.
That's probably true. But never forget that they play in New Jersey. Nobody in this chat ever forget that both New York teams play in New Jersey.
So let's see. Eagles, Chiefs.
Oh yeah, we have the hardest schedule in the league this year.
Okay, so then we got
down the stretch.
Then we got Bengals, Ravens, Browns. Okay.
What the fuck is that?
No, I'm not saying those in order. I'm just writing those down. I'm just writing those down. No, but we do have, I think 6 out of the last 7 weeks are division games, which is fucking nuts.
That's what I had heard. Okay,
That's that is insane. Okay, are you kidding me with that? We don't play a division game until November 17th.
And then we get to play the Chiefs on Christmas. Yeah. So we get our Christmases ruined.
Sorry, it's 6 out of 8. And the only other 2 games in that stretch are the fucking Eagles and Chiefs. Are you kidding me, Roger Goodell? Are you fucking kidding me? That is insane. I'm going to get demonetized for this rant, but are you fucking kidding me? That is insane. It's ridiculous in a division like the AFC North. This is not the AFC South. This is not the NFC South. We're not going to play Andy Dalton and Deontay Johnson. We're going to play Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, okay? Give me a break. And then you break it up with the Chiefs and the Eagles? God damn, the Steelers better go 7-0 to start this season. Now I'm all pissed off. So, okay.
We just need to make sure that at the end of the day that the refs have hated us for a long time. And ever since that Jesse James catch, it feels like everything has turned on its head. So we got our backs to the wall again, and we'll see what we do, I guess.
So anyway, we're 3-0. We play 17 games. That means we got 14 games left. So that means that there is 8 games out of the division, 6 games in the division. All right. So let's just say if they got to win 11 games, if you want them to win 11 games, they got to go 8-6, basically 500 the rest of the way. All right.
That's totally doable.
Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants, Commanders, Eagles, and Chiefs. Is it fair to say that you could go 6-2 in those games?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean,
we're gonna have a Tomlin loss in there, so make it 5-3, and I would agree.
Okay, so 5-3. Say Colts win, Cowboys loss, Raiders win, Jets win, Giants win, Commanders win, Eagles, Chiefs losses. How about that? Sound fair?
Did you have 2 losses in there or 3?
I got 3.
Well, who were our losses to?
Cowboys, Eagles, Chiefs. I mean, just, Cowboys is on the road, whatever.
Yeah, we're not going to lose to the Cowboys, but sure, for this example, sure.
Okay, but just, I mean, they're arguably the better, oh no, that's at home, so they better win that. But whatever. Say 5-3, okay, right? So that gives you 8-3. Which means if you get to 11 wins, that means you got to go 500 in the division. And you got to, if you want any chance to get anywhere in this league nowadays, you got to go 500 or better in your division. So they go 5-3 in those outside the division games. If they go 4-2 in the division, then all of a sudden you're talking about a team that's 12-5.
So normally division games, I mean, they're just so choppy and up in the air, and nobody ever really knows what's going to happen unless you're Belichick playing against the New York Jets. And I mean, then he just uses them, he just uses and abuses them, and it's honestly hilarious.
Or Big Ben versus the Brownies.
Jets. What was that?
Or Big Ben versus the Brownies.
Yeah, stuff like that. So I mean, I look at. Wow, I actually totally lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
Division. So I'm saying if they go 5-3, if they go 5-3 outside the division and 4-2 in the division, that's a 12-5 record.
So if I had to guess, like right off the bat, I think we're gonna split it with the Bungles. Like let's say Burrow gets injured at some point, which he probably will. Knock on wood, I'm not hoping for it, but at a certain point it becomes a pattern. And so let's say we beat their backup quarterback at some point, and he comes back and beats us later or something. I think we're gonna 2-0 the Ravens, because we usually do, and I think we'll probably 2-0 Cleveland.
Wow, so you got us going 5-1 in the division. So
yep.
If we go 5-3 outside the division and 5-3 and 5-1 inside the division, that's a 13-4 record, Gage. That you very unironically predicted 3 games into the Justin Fields era. To me, after the last 6 years talking to you about the Pittsburgh Steelers on the internet, I have to tell you, that says every single thing you need to know about Justin Fields. It does. It says everything.
Right now, my prediction is 11-6, which at the beginning of the year it was 10-7. So I'm still right in that 10-7, 11-6 wild card 6 seed kind of a mindset.
You just charted a path. You just charted a path to 13-4.
We could. That's entirely possible. I still think increased my prediction by 1 win so far. Maybe in a little bit later, maybe another win or two. Maybe Justin Fields gets a 300 or 400 yard passing game under his belt, and maybe I'll up it another one. But for now, I'm content with an 11-6 record. I do think that we have every right to be the AFC North champions this year. We have every right to not only 2-0 Baltimore, because we always 2-0 Baltimore, and Lamar Jackson can't do anything against our defense.
Fair.
You know, and the Brownies, I mean, the Brownies are horrible because they have Deshaun Weinstein at quarterback, and I mean, we usually pummel them anyway, so we should win those. As far as the Bungles go, if we got 2-0'd by them, it wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, Burrow figured out our defense after we humiliated them in the opener a couple years ago. But that's still that's 4-2, 5-2. I mean, like, that's still a pretty solid record for a division and whatnot. So 12-5, that's, I could see that. I could be talked into believing that.
Listen, I still hate the 17 game records. I do
too.
The 13 and it was so easy. 13-3, 12-4. Those just sound so much better. I hate these 17 game records, and it's been a few years now. But I gotta say, I'm
not used to it.
I don't like 17 games in the NFL. I don't really. I don't know that I even like the 7th playoff spot. Do you?
No.
I don't. I kind of think it cheapens getting a wild card, and the 7th team never has a chance. Never. They have no chance. They get killed every year.
I have the utmost respect and admiration for the Packers being a 7th seed and taking the number 2 Cowboys out of the running last year. But you're right. Outside of that, it's mainly been us in the 7th seed, and it's usually us getting fucking creamed by Kansas City or something.
Or Buffalo or whatever.
Or Buffalo. 21-0 in the first quarter, like every other good defense or good offense that played us. But our defense seems to be different for a chance, or for a change.
Well, they can be different if you have an offense that possesses the ball and lets them rest up once in a while. That's been the problem. Even going back to that Chiefs game in 21 when we made the playoffs, like, they were just so bad that the defense came out and kept us in a game with Patrick Mahomes for a quarter and a half. I mean, they really did. They literally scored. We had the lead in that game. That's crazy to think. We kept Kansas City off the board for a quarter and a half, and TJ Watt scored a touchdown by himself. And it just,
it had me thinking we were going to win the Super Bowl for like 2 minutes.
You can't go 5 possessions without scoring a point on offense against Patrick Mahomes. It's just never going to work out. But shout out Black Rain, left the chat. Gotta go. He said, let's go get this W in Indy. We love to hear it.
We have no reason to lose. We have no reason that we should be 4-0.
Yeah, no, I think that, definitely. And I think I mentioned, but I have to be on the move for the game this week. So, no offense, people in the Discord. I love you. I will not be active during the game. I'm going to have to mute your chat because
damn,
I'm going to have to watch it after the game, and I don't want to be spoiled, whether it's good or bad. I don't want to be spoiled. So, gonna be a less active. Gage, you're gonna have to take over for me. Engage the people. You're gonna engage the people. Yeah. Engage. Remember the Nokia Engage, little gaming console that Nokia tried to make?
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah.
Yeah, you were probably just a tyke when that came out.
Yeah, most likely.
I think I
forget. I forget how old am I all the time.
High school or something. I'm old as shit. Let's do the last giveaway for the patrons. So this is for the old patrons, people that had already supported us through the off season, multiple off seasons in some cases. Some of these people, I just, want to say, like, shout out, because some of these people have been in our Patreon now since like 2020, which is crazy, dude. That's like 4 or 5 years in some cases. This is the 6th season we've been doing this. There are names in here that I just, I've been seeing now for so long, and I'm just so thankful to all those people. So here we go. I'm going to throw the thing up on the board. We have the spinner, and we're going to go ahead and click it. Let's see where we go. Let's see who wins. Another $50 NFL Shop gift card. And we're rolling. Here we go. I'm sure the music sounds cool. I'm sorry, Gage, that you can't hear it because it's awesome. Uh-oh, where's it going? Where's it going? It's going to go to... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. He's literally in the chat. I see him right now. Eternal 5-star supporter and one of the greatest all-time supporters of the show, Kevin, the Elder God. We love Kevin, the Elder God.
Congratulations.
Shout out my man. He supports us on every platform, everywhere you could possibly imagine. I will get in touch with you on DM somewhere, Discord, Patreon, whatever. We're connected everywhere. I know who you are. I will shoot you over a $50 NFL Shop gift card. Awesome job being a Patreon supporter for literally for fucking forever. Thanks, man. Just a little something.
That was the perfect winner for that contest too.
Just a little something, you know. I mean, just I'm trying to pay it forward, man. The people have hopped over to the Patreon in big numbers this year. I'm so thankful. You know, it's the least I can do. Get yourself a little George Pickens jersey or something, pal. All right. Well, that was fun. I want to do more of that.
Yeah.
I want to do more of that.
We definitely need to.
You got to come up with some stuff to get. Didn't you say you got some swag you want to get rid of there, Gage?
Yeah. I have a bunch of stuff at my house. I just my parents' house. I just should clarify. It's all crammed together in their attic and whatnot, and it's all still. I mean, it's all still in pretty good condition and whatnot.
Go do a little picking this week, and we'll do something. We'll do something fun next week because I'd love to do this in a way that doesn't cost me $100 every week.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I love it. I want to give people stuff. We're having fun this year. Thank God the show is back in full on YouTube. Just so you guys know, by the way, because we went through this. I didn't plan any of that. Like literally, like the first week of the season, they blocked the show. They wouldn't let me upload. I don't know. This week I tried and it worked. So for now, the show's back in both places. If you want to watch it on Patreon, I think it's a great experience. You know, you get it a little bit before people on YouTube. The comment section is just a different vibe over there. $4 a month, patreon.com/5SMU. I think it's worth it. But even so, you can just watch the show in full on YouTube now. It's back. We did 20,000 views almost this week already. Super hyped about that. Gage, I think we got to get out of here. I think I got to go make dinner. What about you?
Yeah, I think I got to go reheat some stir fry I made.
Ooh, love it. What do you want to leave the folks with? What's your Maury Povich parting thought of the day?
Oh man, Maury Povich parting thought of the day. You got me in some very interesting company there. I'm excited. I'm always excited though. You know, I'm excited for the rest of the year. I'm excited to see how things play out.
You're always excited?
All the normal. I'm always excited whenever it comes to football season. Okay, I mean, like even if it's a 3-14 year, man, it's just always good to get football season back. Life is always better with football than without it. That's my take. And it's fun to see the chat. And it's always fun to like the chat greatly enhances games for me, you know, being
Discord,
able to shit post in there, or, you know, something bad happens, being able to go, what the hell? And then have like 3 people be like, I know that was ridiculous. So, you know, football season is finally back. Thank God. It was driving me crazy that it was gone. And now we have Justin goddamn Fields as our quarterback. And I just have no idea where it's going to go. And I am excited for that. Because for the last number of years, you knew exactly how things were going to play out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Oh, and so follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Gage Ryan Video. Follow me. You can find my MMA channel, Contender MMA. You can find it there, and that's where I post all my stuff that's not here on 5-Star Matchup. So there you go.
Cool. Give him a follow over there, Contender MMA, co-signed by me. Go check it out. I want to leave you with, I have this one comment that's been rattling around in my head all week. Not all week, since yesterday. Whatever.
Uh-oh.
I live a week in a day, you know, it doesn't matter. No, because, you know, I just like, I'm just going to leave a little like cheesy little message here, but like, since this week we went back out to a lot of people. We've been getting to lesser people the first 2 weeks because of the issues I described with YouTube. So, but it's the first time, it's reaching out to a bunch of people who haven't seen the show before. And, I get some negative comments sometimes from people, and I've gotten this for years now. I don't really care anymore. But people that are just like, oh, I was going to watch this, but your voice is like so girly or whatever. Like, one, I don't really get where that's coming from. I think it's just because of like my flowery prose is kind of like whatever for a certain type of people. I get it. Whatever. I don't care. But my point is, I got another comment this week, and it made my week. And it was to the effect, I don't have it in front of me, but it essentially said, football is fun. You get it. And I love that, because that is exactly what I try to do with 5-Star Matchup. I am just trying to have fun. I'm trying to hang out with my buds on the internet and talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like, yeah, sometimes I'm like, not always the happiest person if they're performing poorly, like last December or whatever. But like, for the most part, I think a lot of people just take sports way too seriously, especially football. Have a good time. It doesn't matter if Justin Fields is the quarterback for the next 50 years. It doesn't matter if Russell Wilson starts in week 9. You have no control over it. So consume the product, root for your team, buy a jersey, subscribe to patreon.com/5SMU, and have a good time. Just enjoy it, man. Football season is so short. Just have fun and just relax. That's my parting thought.
I couldn't agree more, pal.
It's just have fun, man. It's entertainment. Chill, dude.
You can also extend that to fandoms of really any other sport or pro wrestling. I mean, there's just a lot of that, a lot of gotcha culture, and a lot of this is the worst thing ever culture.
I still get called out
we got to learn to enjoy it.
I still get called out every day on that Justin Fields video because people think I'm you. I got one today. Somebody that was like, "Oh, 5-Star's really going back on his." I don't know. That's like literally like I just quoted like the description, and I was like, I'm not Gage. We're not the same person. Like, I don't know how to say this any more clearly. But if I've learned,
I'm fine. I'm fine with being wrong about that. Didn't I even say in the video, I hope I'm wrong? Like,
I know, but it's the gotcha thing. It's the gotcha. You gotta get them. You gotta get the person. God forbid you ever express an opinion. Like,
oh my God,
it's so funny.
God forbid.
Well, hey, whatever. Like I said, 3 weeks ago, you said Justin Fields isn't the answer. And today on the show, you basically predicted the Steelers are going 13-5, or 13-4. So
yeah, I don't know about prediction, but I was saying we could. It's not bad. It's not nearly as impossible as I thought it would have been a month ago.
Truth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we love you. Thanks for hanging out with us on this fine Tuesday. I hope you have a good rest of your evening. I am going to go make dinner and watch the Mets hopefully beat the Braves and sneak into the playoffs. That's my evening. I will catch you down the road on the next edition of